One of the sections of the grammar test where students tend to make the most mistakes is in choosing sentences that are using non-standard language or maybe some commonly confused words or misspelled words. So really take a look at these next 3 questions and see if you can pause the video, answer the questions correctly. You have a little bit of help from the online grammar checker that I have going on here, but not all of them are being marked. So take a look and see what you think, and then I will explain the answers in a moment. Okay, so let's go over the answers. You can see the answers highlighted. Um, you can skip ahead if you want to look at certain answers. I have put in red what you should be thinking when you are choosing the incorrect answers or deciding which one is incorrect and why. So the first one, Kristen should have registered. A lot of students hear should of, and so they write should of. And really what is being said is should have. So when you are writing an essay, make sure that you use should have. That's the correct form of the verb. Of is a preposition, so it is not even a verb. So pay extra attention to that. Make sure that you are using standard written English and not simply what you think you may be hearing. That's a good one to have a tutor look at. Spell check won't catch of because of is a word, but it is not a verb here. So we need to make sure that we don't use should have, would have, could have, but should have, would have, could have. B is correct. Then we have C. A lot of students want to use the abbreviation or the title that should come before someone's name, Dr. Smith, Dr. Buckaloo, Dr. Nix. You have doctor before a name only in this title format. When you're talking about a doctor or a doctor's excuse, use the word doctor spelled out. It should be lowercase, just like teacher or pharmacist or construction worker, all lowercase, unless it's part of a job title. So the word doctor is just like Mr. or Ms. The title, the abbreviation, doctor, goes before a name. So we don't have a name here. This is just a doctor's excuse. So make sure that's spelled as a word and lowercase. Here we have 2 prepositions together. It was underlined for you. It gave you a little help. Make sure you don't use 2 prepositions together. It can be easy to do because we speak that way all the time. I tend to do that. But when I'm writing, I have to make sure that I don't use 2 prepositions together. In fact, try to use 1 word instead of 2 if 1 word gets the job done. All right, number 15. We talked about should have and would have, so we don't want to have would have, we would have would have, and that's the case for both of these. You got some help with those with the underlining as well. Item B, this one gets students confused. This one gets professionals confused. People want to say you can give the textbook to Dr. Buckaloo or myself, thinking that myself sounds proper or sophisticated, and it's only correct to use the word myself in a sentence if you have already used the pronoun I. It's a reflexive pronoun, so using I first is what is reflected with myself. So if you don't have I already there, you don't have anything for myself to be reflecting. So don't use myself unless you already have the word I in the sentence. Next, we have the correct answer. She and Brady are going to join Sigma Kappa Delta next semester. That is the English Honor Society here on campus. Make sure you join if you qualify to do so. It's a lot of fun, and it looks great on a resume. Item D, we have less items here. It was already underlined for you, so you had a little help. But why do we not say 10 items or less? We say 10 or fewer items. When we have tangible things, things that we can hold and things that we can count, we use the word fewer. And then we use less when we're talking about things that are intangible. I have less confidence than I did before I was reading this sentence about fewer or less. Or you may have more confidence. I hope you do now. So if it's something that you cannot hold and count and sort into piles, then when you cannot touch or hold or sort things, you use less to describe that thing. I have less pride than I did. I have less sorrow than I did. Those things I cannot sort. I cannot sort and hold sorrow. I can sort grocery items, so I could count those. That's why it's 10 or fewer. The grocery store Publix actually has the sign that says 10 or fewer items, so notice that next time you go to Publix. Which sentence is correct out of the next four? You can see that sentence B is correct. That's one where people might want to use the word myself, and it's really just me because we don't have the word I in there anywhere. So Kaylee went with Sabrina and me to the Burrow Museum. If you haven't checked out the Burrow Museum on campus, you should do that. It's a magnificent museum we are really lucky to have in our little town at our college. So go visit often. They change exhibits regularly. So let's look at why the other three are not correct. We have off of, we have that problem again. We have reviewed that already. And then we have then, which is underlined, so you already kind of got some help with that. Than is what really goes there. All right. If you want more help deciding between then and than, I have included some links where you can choose between then and than. And this Merriam-Webster link says than is used in comparisons as a conjunction, as in she is younger than I am. And we had a comparison there in that last sentence where you can see. All right. And we have also he is taller than me. That's another good comparison. He and me. And then indicates time. It's used as an adverb. So first I did this, then I did that. Okay. So that is a problem, an additional problem in that sentence. Sentence C, because I did not check the class announcements before class, I did not know where we were meeting at. So a lot of people speak this way. I hear educators speaking this way, and I'm sure that in their writing they don't do that, but it's just a tendency we have, just sort of a habit of spoken language that we don't transfer to written language when we are in a formal setting like the classroom, in academics, or in business. So we could end this sentence after the word meeting. So don't ever put an extra word when it's not necessary. So that's a good rule of thumb. Many English instructors will say, don't end a sentence in a preposition. And that's because it is often unnecessary to do so. All right, sentence D. I hope you do good on the grammar test. So for good versus well, you can look at the link that I have posted for you. And here's the difference. You have a link to some explanations, as well as a little pop quiz. I have mentioned the Blue Book of Grammar website where you can do some additional reviewing and use some additional test materials they have there, little quizzes that are helpful. All right, so good is an adjective, while well is an adverb, answering the question how. Sometimes well also functions as an adjective pertaining to health, but you can review some of the basic rules. So with the four senses, look, smell, taste, and feel, discern if these words are being used actively to decide whether to follow them with good or well. Another rule, when referring to health, always use well. So I am sick or I am healthy. If I'm healthy, I am well. If I am sick, I am unwell. When describing someone's emotional state, use good. I feel good. If someone asks me, how are you today? I'll say, I'm good. That's my emotional state. I think that's what they are asking me. If I have been sick and they're asking me how I am, I will say, I feel well today, if that's what's intended by the question. But usually it's intended as an emotional state question. All right, so I hope you do well on the grammar test. Well is an adverb describing how you do on the grammar test. Okay, so review those links, get some extra practice in, and ask your instructor if you have any questions about those practice questions.